So how our brain works actually. So let's understand. I will speak in a very, very simple language because I am not a neuroscientist and I suppose there is no neuroscientist on the call. So in very simple terms, if you see on the picture, you will see that there are some like big cells kind of things, the orange ones at the edge of the orange lines. These are kind of neurons. So our brain is made of many neurons and connections between them. So you will see many wire kind of a structure. These are the connections. We call it synapse. And neuroscientists have long believed that learning and memory formation are made by the strengthening and weakening of connections among brain cells. So in on the picture, you see along a lot of network. So these network actually create the memory and the behaviors. Okay. So recently what happened, the researchers at University of California, Irvine Center for Neurobiology of Learning, they proved it. They proved that when we practice something over a period of time, these connections between the neurons, they become very strong. And when we don't practice it, they start weakening the connections between them. And then the unlearning happens and we build new connections with respect to new behavior. Okay. So, in simple terms, researchers found that when two neurons frequently interact, means we are behaving in certain ways. Suppose you are trying to cross the street and you see there is a red signal, we stop. So there is a trigger to see the red signal and we stop. And after doing it for some time, it becomes so ingrained that even if we are multitasking or talking to our friend while walking, we just do it. Okay, because the connection between our neurons, which triggered this kind of a behavior after seeing the signal, it has like strengthened and it reached to the stage of becoming an unconscious behavior. Okay. And sometimes when two neurons rarely interact, so suppose we start learning coaching, like asking powerful questions. In the beginning, it becomes hard for us. So we do it like, for example, once in a week. So it's not natural for us. So the connections between the neurons are not strong enough. And if we stop practicing after week, 2 week, or 3 week, then we will never reach to the stage when asking powerful questions become natural for us. So it will create a like fuzzy memory, faulty memory, or no memory at all. After some time, we'll just move on and we'll just going back to the behavior of not asking the questions, but sharing our opinion. So because of this scenario, what happens is that sometimes people don't put effort, that the connections between the neurons become strong enough that we reach to the stage of behaving in a certain way, in a natural way. So we fall back to our old behavior. Okay. So that's how neuroscientists actually make the point of how this unlearning and learning happens in our brain. So one thing which is very interesting is that in Dustin's experiment, he made a point. He talked about neuroplasticity. Neuroplasticity is like how flexible our brain is, how easily we can adapt to new behavior. So, how easily the rewiring between our neurons can happen. So, one of the point which he mentioned is that his son took less time compared to him, because in young age, neuroplasticity is good, is high. So our brain are very flexible. But there are many more factors. We can even in adult age make our brain very good in neuroplasticity. So we will learn these 2 points in upcoming slides. So this is just a quote, and I don't remember. I think it's very old. There was a person, Francis Crick. He was the father of DNA, and he talked about that your joys, your sorrows, your memories, and your ambitions, your sense of personal identity and free will, all in no more than behavior of a vast assembly of nerve cells and their associated molecules. So what he tried to tell a long time back, when we didn't have good research about neuroscience, he said that so all that we have here basically is a collection of interacting elements, molecules, proteins, nerve cells, and all of us, our emotions, our creativity, our sorrows, our sadness, happiness, everything comes from the physics of the brain. So it's too ingrained in our brain, all of our behaviors and emotions.